Well, today we're diving deep into interventions, and to guide us, we're using insights from Addiction Rehab Toronto.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah, they've been doing this for years, and they've got some really insightful approaches.
Yeah, they do. It's fascinating how Addiction Rehab Toronto views interventions. They see it as this carefully orchestrated process, almost like a strategic play, to guide someone towards acknowledging their addiction and then accepting treatment.
Okay, so it's not like just a dramatic confrontation like we
Yeah.
see in movies. There's like more nuance to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One thing that really struck me was their emphasis on this two-phase approach. It starts with what they call the pre-intervention. So you get a small group together, like a carefully chosen group of loved ones, maybe like 5 or 6 people,
Okay.
and they actually work with a professional interventionist to plan everything out.
So it's not like a covert operation to help someone get better. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's more about meticulous planning, really. They stress that the intervention team needs to be made up of individuals that the person trusts, people who can stay calm and focused, even when things get emotionally charged.
Yeah, that makes sense. You wouldn't want like someone who's prone to emotional outbursts just totally derailing the whole thing.
Exactly.
So what kind of things are they planning during this pre-intervention phase?
Well, it's pretty comprehensive. They're not just like scripting the conversation, they're also researching suitable treatment options. They're figuring out logistics like transportation and finances. And this is critical. They're establishing the consequences if the person refuses help.
Whoa, consequences. That sounds kind of heavy.
It is, and it's definitely a point of contention for some. But Addiction Rehab Toronto is like adamant about it. They believe that by setting clear boundaries and consequences, everyone involved, even the individual who's struggling, is protected from this cycle of enabling.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's about tough love, but like with the ultimate goal of helping them break free from addiction.
Precisely. It's about presenting a clear choice. Accept the support and the treatment that's being offered, or face these predetermined consequences.
Okay.
And this could involve things like cutting off financial support, or changing living arrangements, or even limiting contact.
That's a really powerful message. It's like it shows that everyone's committed to this change,
Yeah,
and it removes that safety net that often enables addictive behavior.
exactly. And Addiction Rehab Toronto really emphasizes that these consequences shouldn't be seen as punishment, but as a way to break that cycle of codependency and encourage the person to take responsibility for their choices.
I can see how that would be a very difficult conversation to have.
Oh, absolutely.
But ultimately, it's about putting long-term well-being above short-term comfort.
Absolutely. It's a message not just for the person struggling with addiction, but for everyone involved. It's about collective accountability and a commitment to a healthier future.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like this pre-intervention phase is where the real groundwork is laid. It's almost like building a solid foundation for the intervention itself.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And that foundation is crucial because the actual intervention is where things can get really intense.
Okay, so the stage is set, everyone's prepared, the intervention's about to happen. What does that actually look like?
Well, the meeting's usually arranged in a comfortable private setting, and each person on the team is following that predetermined plan, and they take a turn speaking from the heart about how the addiction has affected them.
So it's not like a free-for-all shouting match.
Yeah.
It's a structured conversation where everyone has a chance to express their feelings and concerns.
Exactly. It's about honesty, but delivered with compassion and this desire to help. The goal is to create a safe space where the person who's struggling can really hear the impact of their actions on those who care about them.
It sounds like such a delicate balancing act between honesty and empathy.
It is, and this is where having a professional interventionist can be invaluable. They're trained to guide the conversation and manage the emotions and keep things on track.
Okay.
Make sure that the message is delivered effectively without it becoming confrontational.
So it's like having a referee to ensure fair play.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. They're there to ensure that everyone feels heard and respected while also maintaining that focus on helping the person who's struggling with addiction.
It's really interesting how Addiction Rehab Toronto emphasizes the importance of this structure, almost strategic approach.
Right.
It was clear they've like honed their methods over years of experience.
They have. And what's fascinating is how they view the intervention itself. They don't see it as a guaranteed solution.
Ooh.
They see it as an opportunity to plant a seed of awareness, a chance to break through the denial that often accompanies addiction.
So even if the person doesn't immediately agree to treatment, the intervention itself can have a lasting impact.
Exactly. Sometimes just hearing those heartfelt pleas from loved ones and realizing the extent of the consequences can trigger a shift in perspective.
Wow.
And that eventually leads to them seeking help.
That's a powerful message of hope.
Yeah.
It shows that even in like the most challenging situations, there's always a possibility for change.
Absolutely. And speaking of change, I think it's time we shifted our focus to what happens after the intervention. How does Addiction Rehab Toronto approach the journey of recovery?
Let's delve into that in the next part of our deep dives. We'll explore the various treatment options, the challenges and triumphs of recovery, and the incredible transformations that can occur when someone chooses to embrace a life free from addiction.
Picking up where we left off, let's imagine someone's just gone through this powerful intervention process we were discussing. What happens next?
Yeah, what does that path to recovery look like, especially through the lens of Addiction Rehab Toronto?
Yeah.
Do they have a specific formula they follow?
Well, it's not so much a formula as a philosophy, I'd say. They really emphasize that recovery is a journey, not a destination,
Okay.
and it looks different for everyone.
So less about like cookie cutter solutions and more about individualized care.
Exactly. One thing that sets Addiction Rehab Toronto apart is their focus on a holistic approach to treatment. So they address not just the addiction itself, but like the underlying factors that contributed to it in the first place.
So it's about peeling back the layers of the onion, so to speak.
Uh-huh. I like that analogy. They offer a range of therapies, from cognitive behavioral therapy to address those negative thought patterns, to family therapy to help heal strained relationships, even art therapy to help individuals process their emotions in creative ways.
Wow, it sounds like they're casting a wide net, recognizing that addiction affects so many aspects of a person's life.
Precisely. And it's this comprehensive approach that, according to their data, contributes to their impressive success rates. They found that addressing the root causes, the why behind the addiction, is crucial for long-term recovery.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
If you only treat the symptoms without understanding the underlying issues, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Exactly. And while they offer this wide array of therapies, they're also very data-driven.
Oh, okay.
They constantly track their clients' progress and adjust treatment plans as needed. It's a very dynamic process, constantly evolving to meet those individual needs.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. There's a lot of customization going on.
Absolutely. And they don't shy away from the tough conversations either.
Yeah.
They work with their clients to develop relapse prevention plans because they recognize that setbacks are a normal part of recovery.
Right, because let's face it, recovery isn't always like a perfectly linear path. There are bound to be bumps along the way.
Definitely. And Addiction Rehab Toronto equips their clients with the tools and strategies to navigate those challenges. They teach them how to identify triggers, how to manage cravings, how to build a strong support network.
It sounds like they're not just treating the addiction, but empowering their clients to become their own advocates in recovery.
That's a great way to put it. And it extends beyond the individual, too. They recognize the ripple effects of addiction on families.
Oh, absolutely. Addiction doesn't happen in a vacuum. It impacts everyone around the person who's struggling.
Exactly.
The-
That's why they offer family therapy. To help loved ones heal from the trauma and learn how to support their loved one in a healthy way. They're really big on breaking those codependent patterns.
So it's about repairing that entire ecosystem, recognizing that everyone involved needs support and guidance.
Precisely. And they don't just stop there. They offer aftercare programs to help clients transition back into their lives with ongoing support.
So it's not like they graduate from treatment and they're just left to fend for themselves?
Not at all. They have sober living communities, alumni groups, and continued access to therapy and counseling. It's about creating the safety net to prevent relapse and foster long-term recovery.
This whole approach is really impressive. It's clear that Addiction Rehab Toronto is deeply invested in the success of their clients.
They are, and their results speak for themselves. They've helped countless individuals break free from addiction and rebuild their lives. Their approach is a testament to the fact that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, recovery is possible.
That's an inspiring message. It sounds like they've cracked the code on how to effectively treat addiction and support long-term recovery.
Well, I wouldn't say they've cracked the code, but they've certainly made significant strides.
Yeah.
Their data-driven, holistic approach combined with their unwavering commitment to their clients is truly remarkable.
Their approach highlights the fact that while interventions are crucial, they're just the first step in a much longer journey.
Exactly. And that journey is one of continuous learning, growth, and transformation.
And it sounds like Addiction Rehab Toronto provides the roadmap, and a sturdy vehicle to navigate that journey.
I couldn't have put it better myself. They've created a supportive and nurturing environment where individuals can reclaim their lives and embrace a future filled with possibility.
This has been incredibly insightful. It's given us a much deeper understanding of the complexities of addiction and the power of a comprehensive and compassionate approach to treatment and recovery.
I agree. It's been a fascinating exploration. And speaking of exploration, there's one more aspect of this deep dive I'd like to touch on.
You've piqued my curiosity. What else is there to uncover?
Well, we've talked a lot about the clinical side of things, but what about the human element? The personal stories, the triumphs, the challenges, the moments that make this journey so unique and impactful.
I'm all ears. Let's delve into the heart of recovery in the final part of our deep dive. We've talked a lot about interventions and treatment at Addiction Rehab Toronto, but I'm really curious to hear about the human side of things. What are some of those like real life experiences that kind of bring this whole process to life?
Yeah, that's where it gets really compelling. Addiction Rehab Toronto has all these stories. Each one is a testament to the power of transformation and resilience. There's one that comes to mind about this young woman. Let's just call her Sarah.
Okay.
She struggled with opioid addiction for years.
Wow. And what was her story?
Well, Sarah's addiction had just ravaged her life. It had strained her relationships with her family, and she just felt completely hopeless. And then her loved ones, they staged an intervention with the help of Addiction Rehab Toronto. It was a real turning point for her.
That moment of intervention. It's like a crack of light in the darkness, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. For Sarah, it was a huge wake-up call. She finally saw the pain that she was causing, not just to herself, but to everyone who loved her. Hearing those heartfelt pleas from her family and her friends and seeing their commitment to her recovery, it really broke through her denial.
It's amazing how powerful that collective voice can be.
Yeah,
It's like breaking through that wall of isolation that addiction often creates.
exactly. And Sarah's story highlights another key aspect of Addiction Rehab Toronto's approach, the focus on building a strong support network. They helped Sarah connect with other people who are in recovery, and it created this sense of belonging and shared understanding that she'd never experienced before.
So it's not just about the therapy and treatment, it's about fostering human connection,
Right.
that sense of community that can be so vital in recovery.
Absolutely. And for Sarah, that sense of community was a total game changer. She started attending group therapy sessions and sharing her struggles and her triumphs with other people who really understood what she was going through. It gave her so much strength and hope knowing that she wasn't alone in this journey.
Yeah, it's like that saying, a burden shared is a burden halved.
Right.
Being surrounded by people who get it can really make all the difference.
It really can. And Sarah's story is just one of many addiction rehab. Toronto has so many success stories. Each one is unique and inspiring.
Wow.
There's the executive who overcame alcoholism and rebuilt his career. There's the mother who reunited with her children after years of estrangement. There's the artist who rediscovered his creative voice after battling addiction.
It's amazing how recovery can like ripple outwards.
Yeah.
Positively impacting not just the individual, but like their entire sphere of influence. It's a real testament to the human capacity for change and growth.
It is. It reminds us that even though the journey of recovery can be so challenging, it's also filled with these moments of profound joy, connection, and self-discovery.
That's a really hopeful message. It's like addiction steals a part of you, and recovery is about reclaiming that lost piece and forging a new, more authentic self.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And ultimately, that's what Addiction Rehab Toronto is all about. Helping people reclaim their lives, their passions, their true selves.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. We've learned about interventions and treatment and heard inspiring stories of recovery. What remarkable work Addiction Rehab Toronto is doing.
It has been a really great deep dive.
And to our listeners, we hope this exploration has given you a deeper understanding of addiction and the power of intervention and the transformative potential of recovery. Remember, there is hope, there is help, and every journey, no matter how difficult, can lead to a brighter destination.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.